What if the darkest secrets of a seemingly ordinary night could shatter everything you believed about safety and trust? In a single, unremarkable evening, the normal cadence of life was upended by a call that would unravel decades of hidden truths. Imagine a moment when a simple 911 call reports a tragedy so unsettling, a toddler's laughter stilled forever by unspoken neglect and abuse, that the entire community is forced to confront a reality far more sinister than anyone could have imagined. Behind closed doors, where love and safety once reigned, the silence now screams with unanswered questions and an overwhelming sense of betrayal. Can you believe that an ordinary night might hide such a monumental tragedy? A nightmare waiting to be uncovered within the shadows of normalcy.
Welcome to Crime Bite.
In this channel, we peel back the layers of those hidden realities, raw evidence, conflicting testimonies, and emotional pleas for help that too often come too late. By looking into these crime bites, you'll see firsthand how broken trust, systemic oversights, and chilling motives can converge into stories that rattle us to the core. If you find this exploration as vital as we do, be sure to like this video, subscribe, and click the notifications button. Together, we can shine a light on the cases that demand attention, ensuring every voice, especially the silenced, finds the audience it deserves. It began on a chilly autumn evening in 2019 when the normally bustling Delaware softball field fell eerily silent. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the empty bleachers and deserted field, a routine patrol brought officers to a scene that would haunt them for years. There, partially obscured by tall grasses and the fading light, lay the remains of a small child. The discovery sent shockwaves through local law enforcement and the community alike. The body, soon identified as that of 3-year-old Emma Grace Cole, bore signs of a life tragically cut short, a life once filled with laughter, now reduced to a painful mystery. In that moment, questions began to stir. How had a child so young ended up here, abandoned and unrecognized? The silence of the scene was almost deafening, a stark contradiction to the vibrant energy one would expect at a field once alive with children's play. This unremarkable setting had concealed a dark secret for far too long. Could the quiet desolation of an ordinary field harbor the beginnings of a tragedy that no one ever imagined? Before the tragedy, Emma Grace Cole was known to her family and a tight-knit community as a beacon of innocence and joy. Photographs in family albums captured her bright smile, her sparkling eyes that eagerly took in the world, and the playful moments that defined early childhood. Neighbors recalled the sound of her laughter, echoing during community picnics and playgrounds filled with the music of happy children. However, even amidst these cherished memories, subtle signs of distress had begun to emerge. Small bruises and tender marks that, at first glance, were dismissed as mere childhood scrapes. These innocent snapshots painted a stark contrast with the grim reality uncovered later. What had once been a colorful tapestry of childhood promise was now marred by the unspoken evidence of harm. In the quiet moments when her playful demeanor paused, there was an inexplicable vulnerability. Hints that the home meant to protect her might have been less safe than anyone had believed. Is it possible that the very innocence of a child can mask the silent signs of a heartbreaking tragedy waiting to be uncovered? Behind closed doors, the layers of the Cole family began to reveal unsettling fractures. Neighbors, once charmed by the close connections within the community, started to notice muted disagreements and a tense atmosphere surrounding the household. Rumors swirled in hushed voices, whispers about the mounting stress between family members and unexplained absences of affection. Emma's warm, vibrant presence was slowly being overshadowed by an air of foreboding that hinted at deeper, darker issues. Particularly troubling were the emerging accounts implicating her mother and her stepfather. Although outwardly they tried to maintain a semblance of normalcy, those closest to the family recalled moments of coldness and a discord that belied the public facade of a loving household. In retrospect, these minor details, an offhand remark here, a fleeting look of disdain there, formed a pattern too ominous to ignore. Could the gentle veneer of a family's public life hide a sinister undercurrent that slowly transforms love into betrayal? In the months leading up to that fatal day, a series of subtle warnings began to accumulate, signals that were too easily dismissed by a community in denial. Friends mentioned minor injuries on Emma that no child should have, and a few neighbors recalled overhearing voices raised in anger during the quiet of the night. Yet, every sign was brushed aside as an innocent mishap, a temporary imbalance in an otherwise happy home. These whispers of concern, though faint, collectively formed a silent chorus pleading for intervention. The local authorities and child protection services, constrained by bureaucratic inertia and the assumption of family stability, missed a cascade of opportunities to notice the mounting distress. The full magnitude of Emma's suffering remained concealed until it was too late, locked away by an endless stream of overlooked details. How many warnings must be ignored before the truth can no longer be buried beneath the weight of indifference? On that fateful day in 2019, the accumulated neglect culminated in an unimaginable tragedy. As emergency services arrived at the scene near the Delaware softball field, their trained eyes immediately detected the grim signs. Emma's small body, visibly emaciated and marred with bruises, told a story of prolonged suffering rather than an accidental mishap. Paramedics, with urgency born from years of experience, attempted desperately to revive the little girl, but the silent truth was undeniable. Emma Grace Cole was gone. In that moment, the community's worst fears were confirmed. What was once thought to be a tragic accident was revealed to be a grim culmination of systematic neglect and abuse, a failure that had persisted unchecked, day after agonizing day. The discovery sent ripples of horror through the hearts of those who had once believed in the sanctity of childhood, forcing everyone to confront the unbearable possibility that the worst-case scenario had indeed become reality. Can the silence that followed forever serve as a warning to others, or will we continue to ignore the signs until it's too late? In the wake of the devastating discovery, investigators moved swiftly to reopen the case that had long been consigned to the recesses of a forgotten tragedy. With modern forensic techniques and renewed determination, authorities re-examined every scrap of evidence collected from that fateful scene. Every file, every faded photograph, and every archived record was scrutinized under the light of new technological advances, sparking revelations that challenged the original narrative. The reanalysis revealed a pattern, a clear tapestry of sustained abuse that no accident could possibly replicate. Witnesses, re-interviewed after decades, began to recall details that had once been dismissed as trivial. The investigation slowly pieced together a disturbing mosaic, implicating not only systemic failures in child protection, but also pointing the finger toward those closest to Emma, her mother and stepfather. When modern science sheds new light on a long-buried case, can it finally force the truth to break through the decades of silence? After months of painstaking review and mounting public outcry, the investigation reached its breaking point. With the new evidence clear and undeniable, authorities made the heart-stopping decision to arrest Emma's mother and stepfather. This dramatic turn of events shook the community to its core, shattering the illusion of a loving family and exposing the hidden truths behind the facade. The arrest sent shockwaves far beyond the immediate circle of the family, igniting a nationwide debate about accountability in cases of child neglect and abuse. For many, it was a bittersweet moment. While justice had finally begun to pierce through decades of doubt and neglect, it also underscored the immense human cost of all those lost days when a single child's cries went unanswered. The emotional toll on the community was palpable. Anger, disbelief, and sorrow mingled with a fierce determination to prevent such tragedies in the future. Could the unmasking of a dark family secret finally pave the way for a justice that had been delayed by decades of silence? With the case now in full public view, the courtroom became a battleground for truth and accountability. In this charged atmosphere, prosecutors presented the newly re-examined forensic evidence alongside heartfelt testimonies from those who had once known Emma and her family. The evidence painted a grim picture of systemic neglect and hidden abuse, a picture that left little doubt about the deliberate nature of her suffering. Every technical detail, every enhanced photograph, was woven together into a narrative that challenged the original verdict of accident. Defense attorneys struggled to justify the past, clinging weakly to outdated narratives that the new revelations had irrevocably discredited. The courtroom became the stage for a collision between outdated assumptions and modern truth. a crucible in which the fate of a long-forgotten tragedy was finally decided. The announcement of the verdict was met with tears, shudders, and a collective, muted gasp from a community that had waited so long for recognition of their loss. Does a courtroom verdict have the power to heal decades of unresolved grief, or does it only deepen the wounds left by long-delayed justice? The historic verdict rippled far beyond the confines of the courtroom. As news of the arrest and subsequent conviction spread, families across the nation were forced to re-examine the systems in place to protect their children. Public outcry erupted into a passionate movement demanding comprehensive reform of child protection services and forensic investigation protocols. Legislators and advocacy groups quickly mobilized, calling for the overhaul of policies that had allowed one of the most heartbreaking cases of neglect to remain hidden for so long. These efforts sparked heated debates on accountability, urging the government to invest in better preventive measures and more rigorous oversight of vulnerable children. The tragedy of Emma Grace Cole became a symbol, a stark reminder that every neglected cry counts, and no warning, however faint, should be ignored. In the aftermath, the nation was left with tough questions about trust, responsibility, and how to ensure that such a catastrophic failure of care never happens again. Can the collective voice of a heartbroken nation transform systemic failure into lasting protection for the most vulnerable among us? In the quiet hours that follow a groundbreaking verdict, the story of Emma Grace Cole stands as a powerful testament to the enduring need for vigilance. Her tragically lost life, a life marked by beauty, potential, and untold promise, reminds us that every silent cry for help holds a world of meaning, and that our collective responsibility is far too great to ignore. The scars of her neglect have spurred a nationwide call for reform, urging families, communities, and governments to strengthen the safety nets that protect our children. Before we close this chapter, we invite you to join us in this critical fight. Your engagement can make a difference. Please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and click the notifications button so you never miss an update on our latest investigations and reforms aimed at protecting vulnerable lives. Every subscription, share, and comment helps to amplify our collective voice and ensures that no child's silent suffering goes unrecognized. Will you stand up and be the catalyst for change that transforms tragedy into a future where every child is cherished, every cry for help is heeded, and justice is never once again delayed?